I wanted to pick a jersey for the team that I would think would win. When it was time to say, pick your jersey, I feel like it was a mix of Beast Games and Hunger Games, because the way that we all ran for the jerseys was insane. Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Demetria, and I'm going to be telling you about the Beast Games. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors about what went down, and I'm here to set the record straight. You have 2,000 people, I'm sure way over 200 workers. The ratio was not ratioing, as the young folks say. So as you know, Jimmy came through. He paid for everything for us when it came to food, flight, cabs from flight to hotel. He covered everything. Thank you, Jimmy. From getting there to waiting online to signing the papers to dropping off stuff, waiting on the bus for people that had to move to a different hotel. It was a very tedious process, but of course that's bound to be the case when there's so many people. Maybe 5 hours. We had one rule, people. We just had one rule. And that rule was to not talk to anyone. Now you would think, hey, you know, I'm here for $5 million. And the team is only telling me to not talk to those people around me. You would think that's an easy task, but it wasn't. Everyone was talking. To the point where I was like, wait, I was feeling like a black sheep. And little did I know that this would come to bite me in the butt, because people were already establishing relationships before the games even started. So they already had the upper hand because they didn't follow the rules. And maybe I was wrong for not breaking the rule, and maybe I was right because who knows what could have happened as a repercussion for talking. I don't know. Fast forward, everyone's in their respective hotel. We cannot leave our rooms unless it's to get food. Do not go to the pool. Do not go out for a walk. Do not go outside. If you see the games, you'll see we all have a little wristband going on with the beast symbol on it. That's a clear indication that you're a games member. There were people that were eliminated before the games even started because they decided, hey, you know, I got the wristband on my wrist, but like, who's gonna notice that? Anyone. So people were eliminated before the games even started. And with that, you had the backups, like local Vegas residents that applied but didn't get in, so they were kind of on the wait list. They came in. I get it. It's super exciting. You're in Vegas. But you're not here for Vegas. You're here for $5 million. You know what I'm saying? I had been to Vegas before, so I had that luxury. But my focus was food. So I was Uber eating like my life depended on it. I was getting, I had these hot chocolate pancakes. My gosh. If you see the other videos in my channel, you can see that I'm a foodie. There's a lot more videos to come. So if you're liking the vibe, if you like what you see, then stick around. So we're gonna fast forward all the way to us getting to Allegiant Stadium. Again, people think they're so slick, and they're not. One guy had to go home because, well, he had to go more than home. He had to make a stop at the local precinct because he wanted to bring drugs to the stadium instead of following instructions and being, having empty pockets, no phone, no anything. They made it so clear. Do not have anything on your person. Not even chapstick. Not even chapstick. They were like, we're gonna provide chapstick. There was 2,000 of us. There was I think 700 chapsticks. It took hours for all the buses to arrive to the stadium. So when everyone finally got there, we had to split up into 4 groups because there were so many of us. A, B, C, and D. Yes. Good job. Good job. You're listening. I had never been on a game show. Some people did, so they knew the waiting game. I was not aware of how long that would be. So we waited hours, and then the Boulder game came. The Boulder game came, and they wanted to divide us by our letter. So they said Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D. Get in your little batches, which we did. Then they mentioned colors. As you know, we're all flooded in Allegiant Stadium. And so when it's time to announce the colors, you have very few people holding those jerseys for 2,000 people to grab. They wanted it to align with A being the red, B being the yellow, and so forth, because it was in that order. People were not with that. I was not with that. I wanted to pick a jersey for the team that I would think would win. When it was time to say, pick your jersey, I feel like it was a mix of Beast Games and Hunger Games, because the way that we all ran for the jerseys was insane. I ran and got green. We waited forever for them to show us the boulders. And when we did see those boulders, we were nervous, but there was a point where everybody looked to their left and we all saw the red team. And nobody wants to judge. Nobody wants to say what they think will happen because you don't want to jinx it and so forth. But we kind of know. Being in a team of 500, you would know there'd be plenty of cooks in the kitchen. So everybody's creating their own plans, going down the line of 500 people. Everybody, we're going to pull and tug and then pull and tug. And then other people are like, no, we're just going to grab and then keep pulling and then keep pulling. And then some people are like, oh no, we're going to have the people in the front pull. And then when you get to the back, you're going to run to the front and then pull. Everyone had a different plan. Everyone. But I get it. It was a lot of money on the line. When I tell you, that whole thing was less than 10 seconds. Orange was done. We were done. Pink was done. And then we're all just watching yellow and red. They were both really fighting. But red just couldn't do it. And everyone, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, yeah, this is great, whatever. And then I look to the red team and everyone's breaking down. And I just couldn't cheer anymore. They made it clear before the games, during the games, most of you will not win. Recognize that. And they kept instilling that in our brains. Before the games even starts, Jimmy tells us that he's going to weed out the weak people. He made that clear from the jump. Let me tell you what we ate. Oh my gosh. Every single day. This was our meal every day for 3 days. Which 3 days doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're in a stadium and you can't go outside and you barely see the sun through the roof, it really makes a difference. And you don't really have the concept of time. We didn't have our phones. We reverted back hundreds of years for this. For din din, it was chicken with vegetables, steamed, broccoli, carrots, and cauliflower with quinoa or white rice. It was mainly quinoa. Thank goodness we had salt and pepper packets. I've never used a salt and pepper packet until the Beast Games. So thank you for whoever puts that in the utensils plastic wrap thing. Thank you. And for breakfast, we had oatmeal. Your standard oatmeal, no flavoring, no cinnamon, nutmeg, none of that. Plain old oatmeal with vegetables again. Little cup of cucumber and carrots with tomato and celery with a boiled egg. So you can imagine how fun of a breakfast that was. Shout out to Feastables for making my life 10 times better during the Beast Games food-wise, because Jimmy was giving them out like it was nothing. For snack, we had granola, Lay's, cashews, or string cheese. So cashews or the string cheese. We love granola, we love chips. And then we were getting Feastables a lot. So it was time to get creative. We melted the Feastables. So I put the Feastables in my pocket overnight so it could melt. So by the time it was breakfast, it would be melted. And then I did a chocolate oatmeal granola thing. I've never been so happy. Within the games, I have been happier. Yeah, anyway, there were so many of us, not a lot of workers. When it came to people who had medicine, it was somewhat delayed because they had to do rounds and they couldn't do everybody at the same time. I remember it was only 6 hours in to us being in the stadium and a girl was already being wheeled off in those like temporary wheelchairs that they have at hospitals. I'm like, what is happening? During the games, someone had a seizure. It was a little worrying at one point. Thank goodness I don't have any medical issues, but for people that did, I felt for them. There was one girl, it's this sweet girl. I don't want to say her name, but she had allergies to almost everything. You know in the movies there's that character who's like, oh, I can't do peanut butter because I'll start itching, and if I step on the grass, my ankles will start to bubble. Like, it was that. This girl was on the struggle bus for Allergy Town, and I felt for her. So she couldn't eat a lot of the things that they offered. They had halal options as well. I'll give them that. But it was tough for some people with medical issues. We need to get to cleanliness. We need to talk about this. This part was tragic for me. This one affected me a lot. Like I said, we were there for 3 days, so we had packed undergarments in this extremely large Ziploc bag with our names on it. They were shoved into this room next to the field. Now they said, everybody, we're going to have you guys line up in alphabetical order. We'll call you by last name, starting with A, ending with Z. My last name is S. So, they called A. Took hours, naturally. B, hours, naturally. C, D, E, and I could go on. And it had been a day with no underwear to change. Even if you went up and it's like, hey, it's been a day, I'd kind of like to have my fresh pair of undies. Like, no, we're going in order. Sorry. We got there Wednesday, Thursday, nothing. No underwear. They got up to like, I think M or N, which wasn't close enough for me. So it went into day 2. This is the only thing that kind of stressed me out. We had dude wipes and deodorant wipes and mouthwash, toothbrush. We had that stuff. But I needed my underwear. They're like, forget it. We can't do this alphabetical thing. Just everybody line up and get your stuff. Finally, everybody lines up bit by bit, because some are in the bathroom, some are doing medical stuff, some are asleep. I rushed and I ran, and I got my undergarments after so many hours without it. Over 40 hours. I feel like I was on Survivor. Like, at that point, it wasn't even Beast Games. It was Survivor. The Briefcase game was a trip. I don't want to get too tied up into it, but it was brutal. It looked somewhat brutal in the video, but it didn't. From a POV of my eyes, it looked way crazier. You had a girl who was toppled over and she had a bloody shin. This girl was like socked in the face. She had a black eye, a whole black eye. So when it was time for the flag game, that joint was already like blue and black. Purple and black? Black and blue. You know what I mean. I don't know how I made it through that game. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I was looking at the screen and I messed up the rows in my head. The people that I'm next to Thor. He's like 6'3" and super buffed out, and I'm no threat to him. Yet when it's time for us to go, he literally holds me back. Like, you know when a child is you're playing with a child and they're trying to hit you and you have the strength to just be like this, and they're like, that was me next to him. He didn't let me go anywhere until he touched the briefcase in front of him, and then he set me free. So I was finally able to run, to a briefcase I didn't even know was green or not because I messed up and switched the rows in my brain. So I picked the briefcase. The girl was like, don't go to that one, go to the one in front of it. And I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, I'm sure. So I went to it. Turned out both were green anyway. The yellow team had it very badly because time was ticking and it was almost 2 a.m. for the entire briefcase segment. So they didn't have the time to switch the briefcases out. Switching the briefcases took 2 hours-ish, like an hour. So it took a really long time, and I'm sure they didn't expect it to be as long as it was. So that's why they had to look at the green team, my team, in order for their turn. And then it was on to the next round, the flags. When I tell you they couldn't stress enough to make sure that you do not go the first rounds. Sit back, plan, and think about it. That's all they kept saying because, of course, for entertainment purposes, they didn't want everybody to run and then majority get out. And by the time it's in the end, everybody's flag is guaranteed, which I understand. Everybody's locked in. Everyone's calling their flags. I'm all the way on the end. Everyone on that side, super sweet, calling the flags, letting everybody get to it. Nobody taking advantage of it and seeing that they're faster than the other person so they can outrun them. So I'm scoping the scene. 100s are gone, 200s are gone, and on up to 6. And then I'm thinking, yeah, I think I gotta start making a move now. Everybody calls their flag. And I say, if there's an extra, I'm going for it. The moment I say that, there was an extra. It was meant to be. The moment I thought, okay, it's time for me to get up there and start making a move, the moment I stood behind the first row of people that called their flags and I said, you know what, I'm gonna get the extra one, and they all let me go to the front behind the first people that were gonna go, everybody runs. Everybody runs for their flag that they called. And there's an extra. There's an extra right there. And there's a second of all of us seeing that extra flag. And I say, yeah, this is my extra flag. But half of my brain said that. And the other half said, don't go yet, don't go yet. And it was pulling me back. So what I did a good old-fashioned trip on myself. I got this. And half my brain's like, no, you don't. And so I fall just like this. And instead of getting up and keeping on like one would in times of desperation, there was a woman right next to me who said, you could still get it. And I got up. But by the time I was here, dude already started sprinting for it. So that's where I messed up. Instead of just tripping and getting back up and running again, I would have gotten it. But instead, I decided to wallow in my failure, which wouldn't have been a failure. And the guy took it. So that's where I dipped. The process for leaving was super long. You're already exhausted from waiting 6+ hours for the game and them resetting and starting the game, resetting, starting the game. Then you have to sign documents. You're waiting. They were not the most organized group, but again, this was never done before. So I have to give them grace. Another thing that they did really well was keep us hydrated. I want to talk about this guy. During the flag game, remember when I said everyone was super nice calling their flags and everyone agreeing to it? Yeah, he came out of nowhere during the 400s and he was behind me. This dude comes out of nowhere. I'm like, whoa, he looks super serious. I don't want to be anywhere near him. And if he's running for a flag, I'm not going the same round as him. That's the automatic vibe he gave off. So he starts in the back. He's watching. Then he starts moving to the front. As rounds go, he just keeps coming up, not saying a single word to a single soul. He finally gets to the front. And everybody's like, I got 523 and I got 526 back there. He is silent, quiet as a mouse. He doesn't say anything. All he does is readies himself to run. Jimmy does the horn thing and he is out. He is flying. and he gets a flag. I guess kudos to him. But overall, it was an amazing experience. We were all putting ourselves out there to get picked for this thing. We all could have turned around and went back home if we really didn't like it. Everybody had the option to leave. The gates were always open. I'm just saying there was a lot of complaining for people that could have left. Also, I wanted to say with the Podium challenge and the bribes in episode 0, sis that jumped off early, they had to keep her separated from everyone. Because can you imagine her just being with everybody there? They had to move her to the side. That's what I heard. Rightfully so, because you even saw in the video, guy threw his water bottle at her. Fun fact, too many people were eliminated. So I was able to come back, and I'll be making a part 2. Talking about the following episode on Amazon Prime. I'm gonna spill more tea on the Amazon Prime show, and thanks for watching.